was supposed to stand up here, but I can't look at him like this and have this debate around him when I know my son is around the corner, and I wouldn't want him to hug him because I don't want my son, based on science, to be exposed to an unvaccinated child. This is a part of why we brought in Abby. And this is not to judge him. And I actually, you know what? I'm going to get you to leave here because I don't want to have this conversation in front of him.
We have another clip. There's a couple more clips that we grabbed from this segment. Here's another clip from Tamron Hall.
The science community has allowed society to evolve to where it is. You believe, as I do believe, 96% of the children in your sons in the state of New York are vaccinated. You are amongst the minority, but 96% are vaccinated. Right. And they are asking, why should a small number of children pose a greater risk to the majority? That is the question.
We don't pose a risk to the greater majority. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
I mean, that moment to me is shocking. And it almost looked like when she called you a minority, she had to swallow it for a second and recognize what she was about to say. What she's saying is the minority should not matter. And I think back right now to this nation, and what people don't realize is we're not actually a democracy, we're a republic. There's a reason for that. We don't believe in mob rule. We don't say just because the mob believes something, the minority has to go along with it. And I think about all of the things that we've watched in before my lifetime, but in my lifetime, I didn't really see as much of the civil rights movement, though my parents marched in the 60s and were a part of that movement. But I did see gay rights, being a major issue as I was coming through college and watching this discussion. And I remember many people saying, we can't let this minority with aberrant thinking or lifestyle, poison the rest of us or affect the rest of society. We can't let that minority do that. And I know that that's exactly how, when I read about civil rights, it was the same thing. Many white supremacists in states that didn't want to see, both sides coming together, they didn't want integration in schools, were saying, this ruins everything. We're going to let this minority ruin our great life, our great world. And here, Tamron Hall says to you, we are to let your minority live? What right do you have to have your beliefs? You're the minority. Don't you know that? This is mob rule. We're going to decide what's right for you. I mean, of all people. Anyone with any ethnic background, it's shocking. Were you shocked when you sat there listening to that?
I was so shocked. And I also, just to circle back on another thing, is that it was the whole bullying tactic. It was hard for me. I kept trying to say, I'm going to get in as many facts as I can because I knew she was interrupting. She wasn't letting me speak. So in addition to being shocked of how it was all going down, I just tried to stay focused and hammer out as many facts as I possibly could, which I feel like I did. I feel like I got some things out that were important. I didn't act on emotion. I only spoke to facts. But it was this bullying tactic of hers that I was more shocked about what was coming out of her mouth. I was more shocked about her behavior. Her behavior was completely unconscionable, really. And I just, again, every time I relive it, it stirs up all those emotions again. It really does.
I'm sure, and I don't want to keep stirring it up.
No, it's okay.
Because it's true. I think when we all watched it, there was a sense of just anger about what took place. She closes up the show this way. I think this is fascinating. Listen to what she says about this discussion that she's just had.
There are people who will embrace what they want, but we are not going to stop because that's what this show is about. The conversation will not end. Go on to social media. We are dedicated to hearing your voice. We will be right back with more stuff.
This conversation is not going to end. We are here for you. Many of you are probably wondering, what is wrong with the technology on the Highwire? Usually they have such high-quality video. That's because you've been watching a cell phone video that was taken while this was taping live. Why? Because that conversation that was supposed to continue on social media so that we could get to the bottom of this. We're carrying Americans, and this is a conversation we need to have. This is how that's been handled on social media. There it is. Tamron Hall leads a discussion with the mother, Janine, Dr. Alana Levine, and Abby, a former anti-vaxxer around vaccines. This video has been deleted. In fact, the entire show has been pulled from being online. And you were telling us that even when it was up, they had taken out the section where she was essentially assaulting your son. Is that true?
That is true. So the show stayed on for a few days on her own website and some other places, YouTube, I believe. But the clip of what she did to my son was completely removed. Now, to your point, everything has been removed. And there was over 1,200 comments on Facebook alone, then Twitter, then Instagram. And let me tell you, I would say about 80 to 90% of them were negative comments. And they were coming from people it wasn't about vaccines. It was people who couldn't believe how she treated my child. It wasn't, you could be pro-vax, you could be anti-vax. People were saying, listen, we vaccinate our kids, but what she did to your son was disgusting. So all of those comments are gone. So there's it's like it never happened. No comments, no way to see the show, nothing. Other than the clips that we got because we recorded it, through our phones.
Now, I want to say something because, I guess I would ask you, would you recommend other people do this? Because I get calls all the time. The news is reaching out to me. Should I speak to the news? And I'll be honest, we don't have a control. Luckily, you are very well educated and you did a great job. But I say, if we don't talk to these cameras, then there's no way this story gets out. And to be honest, even though it may have seemed like a very difficult situation and was awful, and I'm really sorry with how your son was treated, just the fact that they had to pull this video, I think, means you've made a difference. You made a difference. You represented well enough, and she represented from such an uneducated position. It shows you exactly why the media is so dangerous right now. By the way, if you come from media, you hyper sensationalize the stories. You know how you push it over the top. So for her to be quoting things and thinking that she could just go on quotes from the news or things she might have heard, and that was all the information she was going to bring to this discussion, and believe she was right, saying 200,000 people have the measles, and being dead wrong about it. I'm sure they pulled the entire episode because they probably finally got a doctor on set who said, she's actually got almost every single stat in this show dead wrong. And by the way, there's a chance that that's defamation both of that mother and of that child. You better pull that video because you could have legal trouble ahead. I think that's what's going on, and I'm so happy you said yes. I'm happy that you brought this discussion to national television, and it did happen. And people are seeing, why did they pull that video? They're asking more questions now because of you. So I hope the next time you get called, you did it well. I hope you'll do it again. Will you?
I think I would do it again because I think any opportunity to speak about what's happening is an opportunity, and we can't be quiet. We have to keep talking and reading those comments. And I should mention the pouring of support that I got from all over, from my son and myself, and cards and letters and private messages was amazing. Every single person thanked me for speaking and thanked me for bringing my son and his bravery. So I don't regret it. I wish it was different, of course, but I think any opportunity to speak, we must all speak.
Amen. We're praying for you up in New York. We know what's going on there here in California. You know, many of us are now refugees from school systems, many fleeing states in the United States of America. No one ever believed this would be happening in a free country. Discussions that you're selfish for reading the science and making your own decisions. It's a scary time. You're a hero for, I think, standing up for all of us. Thank you for being so thoughtful. Even in your conversations with that associate producer, you did recognize that it wasn't just you and your story. When we are speaking to the cameras, we're speaking for everybody. You did a wonderful job. Thank you, son, for allowing us to use that video and continue to show that this is the line in the sand. We're not allowing this.